All right, let's go and get it started. Let's kind of cut it off there. Hopefully we have everybody. Just to kind of make the introduction, for those of you that don't know, I'm Blake Petska. I was just hired as the regional tech trainer for the 3 regions here in LA. So to kind of cover all of the market centers that are here with us today. Just a little bit of a background. Before I was doing this job, I was actually working inside of the Beverly Hills Market Center. So I was actually the assistant to the MCA over there, Veronica Juarez. And then at the same time, I was doing all the technology, right? So I'm teaching Command on a weekly basis, helping with recruiting for it, and then just kind of troubleshooting anything that agents really had.
Where?
So that was in Beverly Hills, right? And so I just kind of started here. And so my hope here is that everybody that's part of the region, we can kind of start to adapt to Command if we haven't already. And then those of us that are already doing it, see if we can take it up to a little bit of a higher level. Because the future of Keller Williams and all of the systems really do run through that new Keller cloud. So the people in the market center that really make the difference, that really do that nitty gritty work, super important that you guys know it just as much as anybody. So I want to kind of focus today on how we can kind of look at Command from a market center perspective and how we can help. The one thing that I want to focus on is opportunities, just to make sure everybody's on board with that. And so I'm going to assume that there's a few people in this call that have almost no kind of experience with Command. So if you're a little bit further along, bear with me here. But I'm going to do sort of an intro just to kind of show the steps of what our agents are going through when they're going through and doing things inside of Command. So I'm sharing my screen here. We just went to agent.kw.com. And so now I'm just going to go and run through an opportunity as if I were an agent, and I was trying to get everything set up, right? So if I want to create an opportunity, I'm going to not first go to opportunities, but I need to enter them in as a contact, right? So if we've had this problem before where we go to opportunities, we try to create something new, and then all of a sudden we're getting held up by the client. So since Command interacts with every other part, I always want to start inside of my contacts to create new opportunities. So I'm going into contacts here. I'm just going to go and hit add a contact. And then just for this test, I'm going to do myself. And so if you see here, all we need is a full name. That's the only field that's required. So email, phone, we could leave it all blank if we're just trying to get this pushed through, taken care of. So I'll go and hit my name, Blake Petska. And then that's it. I'm just going to go and hit create on that. And so now that I have a contact inside of my database, this is how I'm able to create opportunities. So I can do it from this screen, but I'm going to show it from the sales pipeline. And so I'm clicking on a side here, opportunities, and hopefully this is somewhat familiar with everybody. But it breaks it down into 3 different categories, right? So it's listings, buyers, and then leases. So depending on where the opportunity is sorted here, it's going to reflect which checklists are associated, and then it's going to separate it on the back end here. So if we're going through, we're creating an opportunity for a lease, but it accidentally gets sorted into listings. When we pull up all the documents, it's not going to match what we have for the transaction. So that's kind of a really common problem that I'm running into. So I'm going to hit create opportunity, and we're just going to go through this list, right? So we have Market Center Beverly Hills, opportunity type. This is what I was talking about, where it gets sorted. So for this one, I will keep it as a listing. That's totally fine. And then for client. So I'm going to go and type in, look through my database to see who's already there. And then I can just keep going down. I have my name, custom tags, but we see the only thing required down here are going to be the commission rate. So I'll put that as 2.5, and then the opportunity phase and stage. So when we're looking through the phases and stages, we see it kind of goes in sync with what's on that opportunity or the sales pipeline here. So we see it starts in cultivate. In order to see it on the market center side, it needs to at least be in the active section. So if they say, I submitted my opportunity, but you're not seeing it, go ahead and switch that to active. That's a big thing. So I'm going to hit create. So once we're there, we jumped into this new screen. This is essentially a breakdown for everything for that specific transaction. So we'll see the name of it, we'll see the client that's attached, and then we could even connect a listing from the KWLS. So if we're going through, we can pull all that information like price, details on the home, and it can all populate into this section. So I'm going to go and skip forward here. We're looking at the 2 main sections that have to do with the market center. The first is the documents. This should be done already on the market center side if you're using this for compliance, where, maybe a TC or a broker has came in here, and chosen the checklist types, so that when they see the drop down on residential, we have a listed folder for the RLA, and then we have an under contract folder for all the other disclosures, any kind of car forms that we're looking at. And then from here, super simple just to add it to a file, and then we can just source it from our computer, right? So this is something really simple that the agent should be able to do here. The hardest part is just getting this open. And once it's here, it's kind of goes back to dot loop, and they can kind of piece it together. And so, let's say for the listing, if we pull in something for a listing agreement, I'll just pull in something random I have here. And then now that that's associated, we're able to submit it to the market center. So for compliance, whoever's on the background, this is going to go to them. Something that I want to know, which is something really cool that I just saw, where they have an option to add a comment. And so if an agent is going through, they're uploading documents, maybe they have a question, we see this add comment, and then they're able to type out a message. Now, how this relates to the market center is if they hit the @ symbol, it'll actually pull up all the compliance coordinators, inside of your market center. So through this opportunity, they could go @ Blake Petska. I just submitted this document, but having troubles. I can spell troubles right. There we go. Cool. But having troubles. And then you could add a reply. And so now when Blake Petska, which is me, log into my own command account, I'm going to have a notification that, there was a comment left for me, on this specific opportunity.
No, that's because.
Cool. Perfect. So now we see, if I hit submit to MC, we now see on this listed folder, it's going to have my status, which should be changed to submitted here. Let's see, hopefully we're not having problems. Let's give it one more refresh, see if we can come back. There we go. So now we see on my listed folder, I have the status is submitted, and then there's a comment here as well. So we can kind of see what's been notated. So for documents, pretty straightforward there. I don't want to dive in too much, but I want to kind of transition now to the commission requests. So this is the new part, that we're just now seeing. And if we see this commissions tab here, it's actually grayed out. We can't click on it. And so we see this little note that says you will be able to view your commission when you have an accepted offer. And so what that means is right here on this offers tab, we're gonna have to click into that, and we're gonna have to add a new offer so that we can accept it. So it seems a little tedious here. So we're gonna go add a new offer, create that offer, just name it initial offer, that's fine. And then we're just gonna have to fill in a few details here. And this is gonna be once we have a fully executed RPA, we can do offer date and close date. We skip to the parties. We just have to enter in the buyer's name. And then we scroll down a little bit, we see the representation name. So this is gonna be the buyer's agent. And once we have those details, now it gets to kind of the nitty gritty of the numbers. So we see at the top, we have the terms. This right here, sales price. This is an equation that's running where it's going to take whatever we put for the cash and whatever we put for the finance amount, and it's going to dictate the final sales price here. So just to make this easy, I'll just go and say this is $3 million cash, and so we see it was automatically populated there. So this is the number that's actually going to feed into what used to be the green sheet, and this is how commissions are going to be figured out. So we have the sales price there. That's what was final. There's a few other options here for earnest money, option fees, a little nitty gritty of it. This doesn't matter for the market center though. So I'm gonna hit agent analysis. This is a place for them to kind of add some insight, but then I'll hit save. And so now we're back to this opportunity screen. Under our offers tab, we see we have a 1. And this is the kind of the deal that was laid out for us. And so let's take a note here. We see the commissions tab is blanked out. Once I have that offer and I hit accept, this commissions tab is now going to open. So now if we kind of take a look here, the current process for this, right? So we upload our documents, we're managing our transactions, maybe we're using a third-party software. But from here, we have our opportunity, and we normally have to go to mykw.kw.com, open up the green sheet, say create new, enter in all those details, enter in the purchase price. That is now totally mitigated, right? The need for double entry is going to go away, because when we're here and we have an accepted offer, If I click over to that commissions tab, boom, it's already going to be filled out with most of it. And so we'll just see a couple things that we require here. The first thing is a listing. It's required for the opportunity. So like we were talking about before, where we're selecting from the KWLS, it's an important point. So I'll select from listings, and then I can just search from everything that's already in that KWLS. So I'll say 1378 Cassiano Road. Perfect. So I can select that. And then it's asking for a contract date. Let's just say April 1st. And now it's good to go. So if I was filling this out as we were going along, those two things definitely would have been taken care of already. But then I can just look down this list. And we see, the commission, the 2.5% that we put at the beginning, and then that $3 million purchase price from the offer. So it's generating this commission of $75,000. And so now we can see on the breakdown where that's going. And so since this is Veronica's account, the agent's listed as Veronica Juarez, 1 unit to her, total commission of $75,000. And what makes this really cool is we see this sort of breakdown here of what they've contributed to royalty and company commission, based off of what's been posted and updated. So this is really cool where, instead of having to come to the market center and ask what their cap's at, when they're filling out their commission request, they can see it in real time. I'm going to minimize this here. So we see at the bottom, there's another section for add item. So if there's anything else that needs to be added to that commission, any sort of concession, referral, that can be added here. And so we'll hit add item, hit the drop down. We see a few options: bonus, concession, deduction, inside referral, outside referral. And so if they do outside referral, it actually prompts them to enter in all the information that we were seeing on the back end of Winmore. So the tax ID, the tax ID type. So they're actually able to enter in other companies through their side. I saw something in the chat that says, can we customize deductions? And not yet. Right now, we are pretty stagnant where anything that they're doing has to be entered in themselves. Something that I'm really pushing for, and I'm having these conversations with other people with the regional tech trainers, custom fields. It's something that's really going to be pushed for, because if we see the other thing that's missing here is going to be contacts for like escrow, maybe a closing company. At least how we do it in Beverly Hills is, we're emailing off these CDAs to escrow directly. So right now there's no space for that, but it is in the works where we're trying to see some sort of custom fields here, just like we saw on green sheets. So from here, I'm doing my splits. Maybe it's not 1 unit, maybe it needs to be broken down because we're on a team. So maybe we can go 0.6. Let's see, let's let it load up here. So there we go, 0.6. And then let's do some math. 75,000 times 0.6, 45. So it doesn't automatically populate, unfortunately. So we do have to type this in. And then we see at the bottom now, we just pop this up with add agent. So I can hit add agent, and then I can search for anybody inside of my market center. Let's see if I come up. There we go. So Blake Petska, add. And then just like we did there, we see Veronica Juarez was 0.6. So I'm gonna go Blake Petska with 0.4. And then total out that commission. And when it refreshes, we should be good to go. And so it's not going to let you submit until everything's been calculated out right. But once it is, we'll see the total breakdown here along the side of what's going to royalty, company currency, what's being paid to agents. We can add a note if we want to, anything special. And then we can just hit submit to the market center. It'll prompt you for, KW Cares donations. And then it's submitted. So now everything's done on the back end there. So we kind of did the quick walkthrough of what agents look like. I do want to dive into what this looks like on the back end through Command MC. Until we get there, though, were there any questions that I could address real quick? Feel free just to chime in. Let's see, going once.
Blake, when you're reading the chat, there's a bunch of questions in the chat.
Okay, perfect. Let me see if I can go through these. Slow down a bit, absolutely. How do you add compliance officers so that you could pull them up? On the white pages. I think I saw somebody mention that, but when you pull up, one of your staff members or an agent on the white pages, you could add a role, and one of those roles is compliance manager.
Okay, but
Then
we have compliance people that are not in our office. So like TCs, separate TCs.
that they're reviewing files.
Oh, I guess not, right. So Nicole would be it, right, Stacy? And she is in our office, so we just add her. Okay, we already did that. All right.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, most market centers should already have some sort of infrastructure here. Definitely. Let's see. Let me see if I can go through the chat real quick. What happens if your listing's not on the KWLS? Great question. Let me show you here. I'm going to share my screen again. Okay, so from this details page at the very, very beginning, let's see, I can't exit out of this now that it's already connected, but we see this property right here. If it's not in the KWLS, we can hit edit and then just search for the property manually. So, that there is an option there, but ideally, we do have it in KWLS.
But not for things that are not listed in the MLS, right? Or every...
Right. So for that, we just have to do it manually just by searching for the property, but that is an option. Definitely. Okay. So what about?
Sorry, Blake. When you say searching for the property, where does it search?
Okay. Let me see if I could get this pulled up.
It's like, I mean,
So
there are plenty of properties that their
Google.
address doesn't come up when you search even like Google Maps.
Through
but it
Google?
is the address.
So I think it's going to search through Google by default, right? But even if it doesn't, you're still able just to manually type it in. It's not going to be a deal breaker or anything.
Okay.
Cool. Okay, so we have to change customized deductions. We cannot use this yet. It kind of depends on how you look at it, right? So what we're doing at our market center, we have our standard deductions that we're doing every single time. Even if they're not, added on to this commission request that they're doing, they're still going to be added in Winmore. It's a little bit of a workaround in the meantime, but that is an option.
So
it's just kind of,
I'm sorry, you're adding the deduction because we have certain legal fees that we charge every agent, and they're actually kind of different per agent.
Exactly. So I guess this
so
kind of
we would
works
just have
differently.
to add that on in the back end.
Right. Yeah. So the same way that we're, taking green sheets in and then putting the agents into Winmore and tabbing through. So what I'm doing is I'm just going to that deductions, and then I just know what needs to be there every single time. Right. Okay. I know I'm going to be taking out my risk management. I know I'm taking out city taxes. It's just kind of an automatic.
Yeah. Risk management is what I'm actually referring to.
Exactly. Yeah. So I think agents just know that that's coming out.
Risk management. We have two.
Sure. Yes, we have some agents that do E&O, and so it's just kind of being aware of that, knowing which agents need different deductions.
Yeah.
So it's definitely a little bit of just having that idea going in, and just knowing that communication.
Are you saying you can't customize the deductions, or you can?
You can't as of now. So there's no custom fields on the commissions tabs the way that there are in green sheets. That is something that's on the roadmap, though. Cool.
Thank you.
Perfect. All right. I'm going to go and move on to.
Wait, did you see the chat for a couple of the other ones?
What
about referrals?
So referrals, let's see if we can get everybody just to mute. That's what I was talking about when we're looking at those custom deductions.
That makes sense.
When we're going
Blake,
to.
if you go into your participants, you can mute everyone.
Unfortunately, I'm not the host of this one. I think AJ is. I'm unable to mute anybody, so we just kind of be vigilant there. Let me see if I can claim host. I don't have it. Yeah, I don't have host access, unfortunately. That's okay. Quiet it down a little bit. So I'm going to go and share my screen again. And so now that we've walked through the agent side of it, let's take a look at the market center side. So same portal of agent.kw.com, but this time we're just going into Command MC. And so we're going to go in right into opportunities, just because we're looking on the back end of what agents have submitted. So our first view in opportunities is going to be a list of everything that's been created that's at least in that active section. So we see this one that was just created by Veronica here, but we see going down the list all the agents that have submitted. We see if they're on teams and there's multiple people associated, we see every team member. And then we see the address and then the listing type. So this is how we can sort of sort it. I think I saw a question about searching for opportunities that have been created. You know, this is something we definitely kind of struggle with, but the best way to do it is to look by, you know, the owner of it. So if we hit this drop down on address, and we go down to opportunity owner name, you know, I could then type for an agent, and then we'll see all the opportunities associated with them, just to give us a little bit of a better idea. The way that we do it in our market center is by the opportunity ID. So if, you know, something needs to be checked, something needs to be looked back at, we're always just searching by that opportunity ID just to make it a little bit simpler. But ideally, you know, we're not going based off of anything besides like a time block. So, you know, when our broker has time, he comes to the compliance request and it takes care of all the ones that he has notifications for. You know, the same way on a commission standpoint, we can see the different tabs and we see one just specifically for commission requests. And so we can see what's been submitted, we can see what's open, what's been returned, but this is the one that we just worked on. So I'll go ahead and hit review, and it's going to take me just directly to this screen. So we see everything that they broke down, they see anything that they entered in as deductions, and then from here, all I have to do is hit approve. And then now it's ready to go inside of Win More. Let's see. I was working on that one. We'll go back. We'll hit OK. Just in case anybody hasn't seen this, the same way that we were hitting Get Green Sheet, we can now hit Get Opportunity. And then that one that we just created is going to be populated already. See, we see Veronica Juarez, Blake Petska. Then when we bring it in, it's really easy just to populate, you know, all the information that was already in command. It's automatic. A big part of this system integrating is going to be, you know, that there's no more need for double entry. If the whole system is working and kind of communicating with itself, everything is going to be updated automatically. That's something that I absolutely love. I know we are a little bit limited with what we can do with this commissions, but there's a lot of power here. Just if I can get like sort of a poll here, is anybody moved over and doing commissions through command yet? If I could just get somebody to say yes. See if there's like somebody out there.
Yes,
put it in the chat as well. Alternatively, if anybody is not using commissions and they're still going through green sheets, they really haven't even looked at this, leave that in the chat as well, just so I can sort of gauge this out. Aside from commissions, I want to rotate to documents where everybody should already be sort of seeing this kind of workflow. So if I go back to Command MC, same portal, go into opportunities, but rather than commission requests, I go to compliance requests. And so we see some that are here. These are mostly just going to be, you know, listing agreements that have been submitted, but we can look, we could sort it by latest, and then we can see, this is the one that we just submitted from Veronica's account. So we hit review, and now we're pulled into that folder under documents. We can, you know, review. We could review all documents or just the new ones. We pull it up. You know, we could zoom in, zoom out. We could change the view, and then we could approve or reject the document. If we want to go, you know, more broad, we see this little drop down here for submitted, and this is going to change like the actual status of the folder. So besides just the document individually, we can see submitted, and we can hit that drop down, change it to approved. Now it's been looked at, and we can even read the notes that have been left. So app like Petska submitted this document but having troubles. So now, you know, we could even leave a comment from the brokerage side at the agent, at Veronica. It's myself, so it won't let me do it. But if we went at Veronica, you know, missing, you know, listing AD, we could leave a note like that. So when they come in, they see it. Alternatively, let's see if we can do it here. So we see under contracts, we have a big list of all the documents that we require for our market center. If there are any that are missing, we see these flags to the right of add a file. So we can actually go in there and flag the ones that are missing. This is a new feature that they just added. It's been huge for our market center here. Previously, there was no way to kind of designate that, but now we can individually mark files, you know, that need to be updated. All we're doing here is we're trying to create just like a really open channel of communication, you know, in order for agents to, you know, submit to the market center, but then also get that feedback relatively quick. Okay, so after documents, they've been accepted, they've been approved. It kind of like gets the whole file into one. And once that commission is requested, we even see on the details, it has an opportunity ID, but we'll also be able to see the DA number as well. So that everything's just kind of housed into one. And then on this timeline tab here, we'll be able to see a complete overview of everything that just happened with the transaction. Down from Veronica entering in commissions, uploading documents, to, on the back end, if the broker left a note, we're able to see it in just kind of like this timeline view. So that, at any point we could refer back and kind of having a complete idea of what's going on. And then we see here from, the agent side, once they've been submitted, your commission request for Blake Petska listing has been approved. They get notifications based on whether their opportunity was accepted, what notes were left, or if anything was flagged. And they can just dismiss it. Okay, any questions on opportunities?
I have one. Oh.
All right, let's go one at a time here.
Hi, this is Silva. I'm the compliance manager at the Glendale office.
Okay.
Saying notifications. What type of notifications are agents getting? Are they getting an email stating these items are still missing, or your file was changed, or the status was changed?
So they're not. The notifications that they're receiving right now are just through command itself. We saw that notification bell on the top right. So they'll get it there. And then they'll also get it as a Kelly notification. So if they have that downloaded on their phone, it'll come in there as well.
Okay. And my second question is, a lot of the agents seem to think that when they submit their documents, I get an email or a notification that they have submitted documents. And I've told them that I do not. So is that something that you guys are working on, or is that just not going to happen?
So from what I've heard, there's a real focus on not, having them on demand. Ideally, what's going on is that at a certain time during the day, you're coming through opportunities and checking everything that's there. Ideally, that's not a perfect system. So it is kind of up to individual market centers to see how documents are reviewed and to kind of create that workflow. Something that we're doing in Beverly Hills, we have sort of a tracker of, the deals that are closing. And so when I'm kind of taking these opportunity IDs and giving them to our broker, so that's sort of the workflow there, where I'm receiving the checks, I am telling the broker where the file is, and then he can go in and review it. That's just something that's working best for what we have right now. But it's just sort of up to each individual market center to kind of create that workflow. Just because every company does have a different structure as well, depending on who's checking your files, who's uploading them, this could look totally different for each individual market center.
Okay, thank you.
Definitely.
Hi, I have a question.
Let's hear it.
My name is Carissa. I'm Agent Services in Santa Barbara.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. My question is about TCs, and have they released a TC level yet? And if not, I'm still training the TCs to try and prep them. So what would be the best way to approach this?
Definitely. So the TC kind of integration is still coming. It's something that they still are working on. We're seeing with teams now, we're already like expanding those those capabilities. As of now, the system doesn't work like that. And so the workflow that we're going with is we're leaving it up to the agents to at least create that opportunity. All they need to do to get started, when it comes to opening a new file with our TC, is creating the contact and opening the opportunity. Then our TC is, he's our compliance coordinator. So from opportunities, he could come into each opportunity and upload the documents. So we are leaving it a little bit on the agent. We're trying to just really stress how important it is going forward to keep that one-to-one.
So the TCs are logging in as the agents on command to finish the opportunity?
Ideally, no. So from their login that they have through the market center, if they're added as a compliance coordinator, they could go into any opportunity that's already created. So
I
as
think
long
they're
as the
asking about TCs that are not attached to the office, that are the
so
agents.
if they're not,
Yeah.
see, it's a little bit different. If they're not attached to the office, then we're up to giving out the logins, right? So that's where we're at. We do see on Teams that we can create admin logins. So I want that capability for outside TCs. I know that we have a couple companies that do the same, but for our in-house TC, he's just marked as a compliance coordinator.
Okay.
Not super helpful now, but we're definitely moving forward on that.
Would you say the best way then for me to train a TC on this is to basically walk them through as if they're an agent, so at least they know that end?
Yeah, if they're not affiliated with the market center, then yes. Yeah, that's the end they should know.
Got it. Thank you.
Definitely.
I have questions about setting up the checklists.
Please, yeah.
So when I was setting them up, when we originally first set up the checklist, we had documents added into them, and then we wanted to clean up our checklists. If I deleted a placeholder, I guess, if you call it that, does that mean that all documents that were in previous, opportunity sync, I want to say a loop, does that mean that all the documents in prior, will they all go away if we delete that placeholder?
Think of it like it got grandfathered in. So anything that was created before that point won't change. It'll just be every new opportunity going forward.
Okay, so if we went in to reorganize our checklists and got rid of what we called an old one, an opportunity that had already been closed before will still have that placeholder name, and that document will still be in there.
Exactly.
Okay.
Is Winmore eventually going away?
One more time.
From what I had taken in from everything is that Winmore was actually going away. So entering commissions on command tab or entering in from the MyKW really is no different.
Exactly. And yeah, I'm going to touch on like kind of the bigger picture there, but yeah, you're spot on.
I mean, I know for reports and stuff, it comes into the agents, it feeds into the reports and their goals and the CGI and all that more in command. I understand that part of it. But from our part of it, there's really no difference.
Not a whole lot, right? But we're inside of command. And so opportunities is a big part, right? But the other big part of this is the agents. So this is live now on every MCA account, where we can actually see sort of like a live feed of every agent in the market center. This is totally current. And then within, this contact, it does normal CRM things like logging, different interactions. We can have tasks. We can even do sort of like let's see, what is this? Like a needs analysis, right? So if we're interviewing the agent, we could talk about their business. We could give them a KW prescription on what's best for them. But we kind of take a step back here. We look at Command MC. The big two parts here are opportunities and agents. So this actually mirrors back to Winmore when we're looking at DAs and associates, right? Yeah. So those two components are essentially one and the same. So not saying that it's going to happen now or even within the next year, but 100% there will be a point where there's not going to be a need for Winmore. And the entire system that we're operating on is going to be inside of Command. We're already seeing some like small integrations. We see KW.com had been moved over with Command. Slowly but surely, everything's going to be moved over into this, what we call the Keller cloud system. So that way, instead of having to take the information that we're receiving from the agents and then double entering it into Winmore, they're going to be one and the same, where the agent submits it and then we actually just start operating out of that. We create the DA. For those agents, we're able to see the associate splits and the commission and all of their tax ID numbers. It's eventually just all going to be merged into one. And so we see the reports, all the capabilities that we're seeing inside of Winmore are just going to be on this little tab here. And then it kind of just allows just a lot more integration with, the other sites that the agents are already using. That's a great point. And then even for account edge, instead of having to sync to a different system, it's just coming right out of Command. Does that sort of explain that a little bit?
Yes, I do, but it's still a ways out for Winmore to.
It's a little bit out for sure, but it's inevitable at this point. We're seeing kind of the roadmap being laid out here, and so it won't be too much longer before what this looks like on the market center side. It's totally changed.
Like, I apologize if I missed this, but did you touch on what we do with referrals? And in the opportunities, is there a note section for the agent if they're, paying like a $500 of the home warranty or something like that that's not on there? Is there a note section that they can put these remarks in since there's no fields?
Absolutely. Let me come back over to Command here, go back in through the agent side. It's a great question. Let's see, is this one? So when they're submitting that commission, we can see at the bottom, hang on, let me use a different one that I didn't accept already. So we have our commissions tab at the very bottom where we see add item, and we hit add item, we could see that there's an outside referral. So if there's a referral that needs to be paid out, rather than just leaving a note, they're actually entering in, this is going to be a 25% referral, to employee ID 200998775 to Keller Williams, Beverly Hills. Can't spell Beverly right, that's okay. And then the agent name, maybe this is going to Blake Petska. And then we can hit add. And so they enter in on their screen all the information for that, outside referral, and then it shows up on the summary as well. And so now if we see what we do now, like if we get a green sheet, the agent does the same thing where they enter in all of that information, tax ID, address, agent name. It's then up to us on the Market Center side to enter that company in again inside of Winmore. What they're doing here when they're entering that information, it's actually feeding that system automatically. So any new companies, any new referrals that they're adding in, they're automatically going to show up inside of our Winmore program. So ideally, they're entering in all the information here. But if something goes astray here, there's absolutely a note section, where they could add in anything they want. Sound good?
Does Winmore talk to command? Like for referrals, we don't have them put in a green sheet. We just process the referral. So
Sure.
now we just process a referral in Winmore. Is that going to come into command into their numbers as well?
So there's actually a separate section right here called referrals. And we could hit new referral, and then it's the same process where, we could enter in the information from the back end. So there is an option for that outside of opportunities if they're just receiving like a one-off referral. But you could absolutely do it into Winmore for now. Kind of like what we're talking about, it's not totally interactive yet, where it's not counting the units that the agents are selling yet. It's totally up to them. So right now, no. If we enter a referral into Winmore, it won't be reflected here unless they start it. However, that's 100% where the system is going, where if we enter in something in Winmore, it's going to associate it with that contact itself. And so then it'll show up on all of the reports. It's going to be very one-to-one, where anything entered into command is going to be reflected into Winmore. And that's how numbers and reports and units and volume is all going to be calculated.
Now, if they enter referrals into command, that could become a nightmare tracking it, because a lot of times they don't go through.
Sure. I mean, so in that referrals tab in command, it does have its own little pipeline. And then ideally what we're pushing for is that these referrals are made, within Keller Williams. So they're made to other KW agents. If that's the case, we're seeing these referrals being tracked on both ends of the Market Center. But even so, it does put it into like this little pipeline here. So my referrals, we'll see everything sent and received. So there is sort of like a dashboard for that to be managed, right? But to your point, it's the same way we do referrals in the Market Center. I'm not relying on them to do it inside of command. I could just create it in Winmore.
Okay.
When it becomes a problem, that'll be when like command is totally integrated into Winmore and we're seeing that one-to-one. Right now, it's not going to be too much of a worry. Yeah, I'm just pushing for everything in opportunities here. Just listings, sales, and leases. Let's see, any other questions here? Let's see, going once, going twice.
I had a question, but not about commission, so I don't know if you want
please,
to.
Yeah, no, feel free.
But yeah, so I was sent a link by another, I had a conference call with the MCA over at downtown LA. We're all transitioning over to commissions, and they sent me a link to how to split documents in Docusign.
Yeah.
But then I couldn't figure out how, because my DocuSign isn't connected to Command yet for a lot of internal reasons. So I couldn't replicate it on mine, and I didn't know how you got from DocuSign back into Command with the split documents. Is there a way you could show us that?
Absolutely. Yeah, that definitely kind of goes into everything we're talking about here.
Yeah, because like I mean, that is a big agent issue, is like, how do I
Absolutely.
split documents? And I want to be able to walk them through it.
Absolutely. And so this is something that we're really pushing with, you know, for leases specifically. So let me open this up. So, okay, so I'm inside of this opportunity here. Perfect, thanks. And so I'm in my documents tab, right? And we have, you know, all of our different folders here, but before, you know, I pressed it, this said start a transaction. Okay, it was a gray button that said start a transaction. And when I click on it, right now it says go, but it's going to actually just redirect us to DocuSign itself. And so to your point, exactly, you do need to have this DocuSign account connected. And so I'm gonna go and just log in with what I have already hooked up.
Question, is it true that you need to use your KW email address only?
For the DocuSign account?
Yes.
No, not at all. You could use anything
It doesn't
you want.
have to be a KW email address.
Nope, I just used our custom domain, KW Beverly Hills here, but
Okay.
I've definitely used a Gmail account too.
Interesting, okay.
Okay, so then, let's see. Okay, we might be a little turned around here, but that's okay. So once we hit go to transaction, so we're inside a command, we hit start a transaction, go to transaction. It's going to open up something that looks like this. You know, obviously I've already put some sort of documents in here, but at any point we can just add a new one, you know, from the computer, and then we can just bring in, you know, our entire, you know, 10-page, 11-page, you know, list of disclosures. So let's see, it's right here. And so once it's uploaded to this DocuSign room, then it makes it really easy to manage it, where I could come into it, and then we see all these actions at the top, custom actions. We see the list, rename, edit, split, move, copy. We're looking at split. Follow me so far?
Yes.
Okay, so then I'm in split, and then I'm gonna see a breakup of all the documents. If it's 10 pages, it's gonna go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And then I can split it up. So you know, maybe we're dealing with, this is the LR, so this is a lease agreement fully executed. You know, and that's pages 1 through 9. So it'll highlight those ones. So it's just 1. And then we can add a new document. Let's say this is our bed bug disclosure, you know, fully executed. And this is pages, you know, 2 through 3, whatever it may be. Once everything's been allocated, you know, we have our list down the side of what the documents are. And then we hit save. It then recreates those documents split up just within this opportunity. So we see our BBDFE, and we'll look down, we see our LR. And so we're pretty much just using this DocuSign rooms to manage all of our documents. It's really cool. From this screen, we could even, you know, select, you know, A, B, and C, and then send this out for DocuSign. And we see we hover over that, we can create an envelope directly from this room, you know, and then all the signed documents just come back. But the point of there, so we manage our documents, we have them all split up. And then when we're back over inside of this command, when we go to upload a new document, we hit add file. Instead of just having the manual, we're gonna be able to come to DocuSign, and it's gonna open up anything that's inside of that folder. So we see, you know, I hit DocuSign. If it was the right room, we would have seen that whole list, and then we can choose what pops up and hit assign. And so instead of having to download or re-upload, it's just pulling in exactly what's already in this DocuSign rooms. So, you know, my workflow here, what I'm doing, when I start a new transaction, maybe I start up a new lease, I create my opportunity, I'll go to documents and start my transaction. So I'm kind of just working off of these two screens for everything that has to do with it. If your DocuSign does not have rooms, make sure that you're actually working with, you know, a Market Center corporate account. So if we're going into our settings, we want to make sure that this is the DocuSign that we're using. This should be where we set it up from. You know, I know that, you know, Julie down in Long Beach, she was having issues, you know, from the Market Center perspective using her MCA account. You know, but for agents and for 90% of everybody, this is where it's going to be housed. And then when we're going to Docusign.net, and we just log in using our regular credentials that we created through KW, we do have just access to this regular, Docusign e-signature service. But then if we hit the drop down on our name, we should have this switch to rooms right here. So if you see this, this is how you know that you have a corporate center account. And this is how you're going to have access to all of that. If you have problems with that, feel free to just shoot me an email. I'm blakepetska@kw.com. I'm pretty good at kind of working through these DocuSign issues, unless it's something absolutely crazy. Any other questions there?
For you.
Let's hear it.
I have an agent who has her own personal DocuSign account, but she's unable to connect it to Command.
Yeah.
Scott Leroy said that that's not possible. So I just wanted to confirmation from you.
Yeah, so it's not totally possible, right? So we can't connect a different account with one that's already there.
Okay.
But what we can do is we can use that same email and password to create sort of a portal, right? So what we did, even internally, we did have a DocuSign account through our market center through just this KWLR. And so then when you log in using that same, hang on. Oh, shoot. KLRW. Oh, man, they changed the password on me. No worries. So when we enter in, our same login, we're actually going to be prompted with two options. The first is to go into our personal account, and then the second's for our corporate account. So even though they're not merged, people have kind of been okay with that, where it's the same login and they can just choose which one they go into.
Blake?
Not a perfect answer, but it's definitely a solution.
Okay.
Blake?
Yes.
It's Veronica. You can click on it twice. Hey, you can click on it twice and it actually opens up. That does it all the time. It doesn't recognize the password the first time.
Interesting. Okay, let's give it one more try here. Not doing it. That's okay. No worries.
So Blake, how would if an agent has their own DocuSign and for some reason they want to maintain it, I don't know why you'd want to pay for one account and get another free account, but so what do they need to do that? Do they have to call DocuSign? Do they just connect it as a new account with the same email? What's the process?
Exactly. Yeah, so they don't have to do anything with their original one. So if they come into DocuSign and then click, connect account, you just use that same email to sign up. You go through that registration process again, and then they'll both be there. It doesn't affect the other account whatsoever.
Okay. Well, then I'm going to try that to see if it works.
All right, very cool.
Thanks.
Any other
Blake, I have a
questions?
question.
Let's hear it.
Blake, you kind of moved on from the referral, but before it looks like you have to come out of the Command MC and go over to the Command for the referrals to add the referral in.
Right. Yeah. So it's not something that we can do as the market center. So that has to be done on the agent side.
So I am also an agent, and I have, when I click out of Command MC and I go over to Command, that's my account. So I'm adding other agents' referral commissions into mine. Is that?
Well, so it kind of
I really don't want to merge.
Definitely no. So this is going to be like in terms of a CDA going out, right? So if as from the market center perspective, if we need to send something to escrow showing a 20% referral to another office, we have to have that in the system. And so you're adding in other agents' referrals just from the perspective of how they should be paid.
We pay our own. We don't send out CDAs. We pay from here. Everything comes through here. So, but I still have to get it in there to write them a check.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah,
Okay.
you would. Unless you're just manually entering it.
Right now. That's temporary until they enhance that feature, right?
Exactly.
Okay.
Well, we're not entering the referrals as he did on the agent site. That's for the agents. If we're paying a referral out, that's on the commission side. If it's a referral we're receiving, I would just straight enter it right into Winmore. I would bypass Command.
Well, eventually,
yeah,
when more is
exactly.
going to go away, though, right?
Eventually, yeah. We're looking at more long term on that. Whoever was chiming in their point's exactly right, where you could just kind of go right into win more with that. You wouldn't have to necessarily go through command.
Okay, but eventually,
Very
when
cool.
more is going to go away, and then they'll have that referral side fixed.
Looking long term, exactly.
Okay, thanks.
No problem. Okay, one more thing I want to touch on here is actually the Market Center websites. If I can just kind of, anybody want to chime in, if they've actually gone through that setup yet, since kw.com has been ported over, we do have new KW websites with a new IDX. So sort of the whole purpose of this Keller Cloud here, it revolves around that consumer app. Really the ability just to search in our own ecosystem and have it all attached to the clients. So a big part of that is this new kw.com that we have. So this sort of features like our new IDX platform, is kind of like the new system in general. So this kw.com loops back its information to command. So we saw on the old websites where it was maybe coming from white pages or from the intranet, all that information is now being fed through command itself. So to set up on the Market Center side, we have had our opportunities, our agents. What I want to do is actually click on sites here. When I click on sites, I could choose my Market Center, KW Beverly Hills. And we're going to load up all this information that we're going to want to populate for our new websites. This includes just contact information, SEO descriptions so that people could find us, uploading our DBAs, notating who the team leaders and other leadership people are. We can upload different photos to customize it, a little bit of text, again, just to make it unique. But then something that's really important here, we see at the bottom a lead routing email. So anybody that comes to the site and then enters in their information, you need to actually notate where that lead's going to go. And maybe you have something set up with your ALC where they're receiving it on a round robin. Whatever that looks like, you want to make sure that this lead routing email is filled out to the right person. And so once all of this is kind of filled out, you have everything notated, we hit save. At the top, we're going to want to make sure that we have this checked here to use my information to brand my Market Center site, make sure that's toggled, and then you're going to be live. You're going to be good to go, right? And so then you're going to be able to find your Market Center website. This one, the URL is just beverlyhills.yourkwoffice.com. And then we can see all of those changes made, where it's the custom photos our marketing guy uploaded here, a little IDX search bar, the neighborhoods that we service. But then even more, when we hit this Explore tab, we have our Meet Our Agents. So this is what I was talking about, where if they have their marketing profile filled out, they're going to see their headshot, a link to their website, and a link to their email. If they don't fill out the marketing profile, they haven't jumped into command, it's going to look more like this one, where there's no headshot, no website, no email. So that's why we're really pushing people to go get that filled out. This is something that Scott Leroy Marketing could even do. Alternatively, we have the Meet Our Agents, but we also have the Meet Our Leaders. And so this is going to be, it's our team leader, our broker, our OP, and then our MCA. So in the same way, we want our agents to have all this filled out. We want to make sure that our Market Center leadership has all of their information totally up to date as well through their profiles. We're kind of seeing everything that's porting here. And then, obviously this contact us, this is where that lead routing info is going to go. So just really make sure you have that system at least in place so that when leads come in, there's some sort of plan for how to use them. Now I will say this, so these Market Center websites, they do have that IDX integration into them. They feed into the rest of KW Command, which is amazing. I will say that in our Market Center, at least, our marketing guy and our team leader had a little bit of reservation using this as our primary website. So on top of this one, we do still have a kwbeverlyhills.com, which is a custom website, which we pay for a custom IDX, just because it's a little bit more polished. That's what they want to see. So this is sort of up to Market Centers how you want to go about this. But the option for a website that's totally free, uses the IDX, lists out your agents, that is available. So you can kind of take it as it comes, but just keep an eye on this roadmap, because over time, these websites are just going to become more and more robust. And then everything that we need is going to be usable just through that platform. Just like with agents, how we're trying to use Command to take different aspects of their business, cut costs, bring it all onto one platform. We're really trying to do the same thing on the Market Center side, where all these little technologies, all these softwares that we use, they're all going to be available on just one backend called Command MC. I hope that was helpful. Kind of gave a quick overview there. Feel free to reach out if you do have any questions specifically. I'm Blake Petska at kw.com. Is this available? Hopefully we can get a cloud recording of this and get it sent out so we can do like a little overview. But feel free to reach out to me. Feel free to use me as a resource. That's what I'm here for. Any input, from your side of it, I'd love to hear it so I could get it submitted up to KW International. You guys have such a unique perspective on what goes on inside the Market Center. What's going to be an issue for agents, what they're running into. So you guys probably know more than almost anybody, what we could be doing to improve Command. So I'd love to hear any feedback you have. But before we wrap this up here, does anybody have any other questions? Anything, it doesn't have to be with this, anything regarding Command technology, your Market Centers. Let me hear it.
I did have one question.
Go ahead.
So you mentioned that agents can add admin. How would they go about doing that? I do work.
Definitely. Yeah, so right now, that feature is only available for teams. So if you have, you're set up on that team tool, it's actually just going to be in your settings. It's really apparent. It says add admin. And so just a little quick setup, but again, only available for teams. But hopefully we see that feature expanded and that really opens things up.
Perfect, thank you.
No problem. See any other questions here?
Yeah, I have a question.
What do you got, Nicole?
So, for using the Docusign in there, do you still need double identification or authentication, I mean?
What do you mean by that?
Well, that's what I've heard before. Somebody at our office told us that because like I use as a TC, I'll use the agent's Docusign a lot. So I would like to be able to do that. But he says that the agent, in order to log in, they'll get a text saying that you have, yeah. So do they do you have to do that?
I haven't seen that.
No?
I've been able to, I kind of cycle out different Docusign accounts. I haven't seen anything with two-step. Maybe if that's something the agent kind of put on their own settings, you would see it.
Oh.
But by default, you won't see that.
Oh, okay. That's good.
Well, on a semi-related note, what if an agent is using a TC who's basically doing all their files, is there an issue with that TC setting themselves up as the Docusign account for multiple agents?
No. If that's going to work best for that agent, 100% endorse that. There are really no limits there.
One Docusign account for that TC, and they have all of their different agents' rooms in there. Is that how that would work?
That's not bad, yeah. One of the cool things about Docusign rooms too, let's see, I can share this real quick. So when they're doing documents, there's also a side for people. So we can see the people that are added in. So, this is actually our TC, in our office. So he was added into this one, KW admin, and then the owner of the opportunity. So we could always invite different people to manage these documents. But 100%, you could have your TC just use that Docusign account on their own.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, so
Blake, back to one of the questions that I had about Docusign is that agent that I'm working with right now, she no longer wants to use her personal Docusign, but she also doesn't want to use the document she has saved. Is there any way to merge if I was to create a new KW Docusign for her? Is there a way to merge her personal and her KW one or no?
Unfortunately, no. We can bring over templates that they might have been using, but any previous documents are going to be kind of locked into that account. So what I've been kind of suggesting is you create this new corporate account, start using that one, and then your personal one, downgrade it to a free account. That way you're not being charged, but then you can always have access to it, kind of like an archive, where if it ever came up where you did need to see something, it's all going to be there still.
Okay. All right, cool. Thank you.
No problem. All right, wrapping it up here. We can probably take one or two more questions. Going once,
Have they made any strides with the leadership or the team leader platform for command side? Have you seen that?
Let's see, as far as like recruiting or?
Yes.
Gotcha. So have you played with it since it's been out? What's like currently there?
Probably not in the last couple of months. If things have changed,
Gotcha.
then okay.
Not too much. So it's pretty much at the same spot where if you were like having issues with things populating or the correct data coming in, we're kind of just limited to what we have there. So it may work where you're pulling in those new listings. What I would really want to focus on though is that recruiting pipeline. Right now we can add from that KWLS section or we enter them manually. Sort of the big update that's going to be coming in though is that we're going to be able to like upload in bulk. And so if you see in contacts the same way that you could mark a contact as a lead, you're going to be able to mark that contact as a recruit. So that way they're showing up in that separate section. So even though like finding the agents, I don't know how that's going to work, but actually utilizing that pipeline is going to be something really big here coming up. So that's my best answer there.
Okay.
Any other questions before we wrap it up? One more. All right, perfect. Thank you so much for coming, guys. I know you didn't have to be here, but I definitely appreciate you coming out. Like I said, Blake Petska at kw.com if you have any other questions. Thanks so much, guys.
Thank you.
All right, stay safe. Bye.